Hello there. Welcome to another educative edition of the Podcast for Education, exclusively brought to you by Africa Business Radio. Taking us on the subject mathematics is Miss Quinn, and she'll be treating the topic highest common factors of numbers, and this is for the pupils in Year 4.
Hello learners, I'm Miss Queen and I'll be your mathematics teacher for today. I'll be teaching Primary 4. So get your pencil, get your ruler, get your sharpeners, your papers ready as we learn. Again, the topic we're treating today is highest common factors of numbers. We'll be looking at the meaning. What does it mean? Highest common factors. Also, we'll learn how to find the highest common factors of some numbers using different methods. In our lower classes, we would have learned what factors and multiples of numbers are and how to find them. However, let's refresh our brain on this a bit. Factors are whole numbers we can multiply to get the number. Factors give us a way to break down a particular number into smaller pieces. And multiples. Multiples are what we get after multiplying a number by another whole number. A multiple is also a number that can be divided by another number a certain number of times without a remainder. Now, talking about highest common factor of numbers. Let's look at common factors. Talking about common factors, when we find the factor of two or more numbers and then find out that some factors are the same, that is common, then they are common factors. Example, let's say we want to find the common factors of the number 12 and 16. The factor of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 itself. And the factor of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. So, looking at the factors of these two numbers, there are some factors that appears in both numbers. One of these factors is 1. We have 1 in 12 as a factor and we have 1 in 16. Another number that appears is 2. We have 2 as a factor in 12 and we also have 2 as a factor of 16. Okay, we have 3 in 12 but we don't have 3 in 16. So meaning that 3 is not a common factor of these two numbers. The next number is 4. Yes, we have 4 being a factor of 12 and 4 also a factor of 16. We have other numbers, we have 6, we have 8, we have 12, we have 16. But these numbers only appear in one of these two factors. So we are not going to take these numbers as common factors. So, the common factors of 12 and 16 are just 3. We have 1, we have 2, and then we have 4. Now, having known what common factors are, let's go back to what we have to learn today, which is highest common factors. Now we know what factors are, we know what common factors are. Now we need to learn what highest common factors are. Highest common factors can also be called the greatest common factor. And some people will call it the greatest common divisor. But for the purpose of this class, we're going to be referring to it as the highest common factor. So highest common factor. When we say highest common factor of two or more numbers, we mean the greatest number which divides each of them exactly. Now, we'll learn about the methods of finding this highest common factor of numbers? We have 3 steps to look. First, for you to be able to find the highest common factor of a given number or a set of numbers, the first thing you need to do is you find out all the factors of each given number. Just like we did to 12 and 16, you find out the factor of 12 and then you find out the factor of 16. That's the first step. Step 2, you find the common factors of this given number. Like we did, we found the common factor of 12 and 16. And then the last step, which is the main thing we are learning today. You find the highest common factor. The highest or the greatest common factor of this number obtained in step 2, which is the common factor, is the required highest common factor. Meaning the highest number in the common factor is what we call the highest common factor. So for example, say we have a question saying, find the highest common factor of 6 and 9. Remember the first step, you need to get the factor of 6 and 9. For 6, we have the factor as 1, 2, 3, and 6. And for 9, we have 1, 3, and 9. Therefore, we move to the next step, which is finding the common factor of 6 and 9. What number or what factor do we have in 6 and also appears in 9? 1. Yes, 1 appears in 6 and is also found in the factors of 9. 2. No. We only have 2 in 6. We don't have 2 in 9. So 2 is not a common factor of 6 and 9. What's the next counting number? That's 3. Yes, we have 3 as a factor of 6 and we also have 3 as a factor of 9. And that's all. Therefore, the common factor of 6 and 9 is 1 and 3. Now, since we've gotten the common factor, we can now find the highest common factor. So the highest common factor of 6 and 9 is what? We have 1 and 3. Which is the highest? It's 3. So the highest common factor of 6 and 9 is 3. Highest common factor of a given number, again, remember, is the greatest number which divides all the number without leaving a remainder. Now, finding the highest common factor, we have some methods that can be put in place because sometimes these numbers could be higher. So, we have 3 methods of finding highest common factor of 2 or more numbers. First method is what we refer to as factorization method. Factorization method. Another method is prime factorization method. And the third one is division method. We'll look at 2 of these methods today, which are factorization method and the prime factorization method. So let's take it one at a time. Factorization method. So finding your highest common factor using factorization method. To find the highest common factor by factorizing or by factoring, the first thing you need to do is you list out all the factors of each number. Now, given the list of these factors, you figure out the common factor. Then, the highest common factor is the largest number common to each list. Again, let's consider this example. Find the highest common factor of 36 and 45. Remember, you look for the factor of each number. For 36, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 9, we have 6, we have 12, we have 18, and then we have 36. I'm sure you'll be wondering, Miss Queen, how did you get this factor? Remember, factors is when two whole numbers you can multiply to get a given number. So when you do 1 times 36, you get 36. That's a factor. When you do 2 times 18, you get 36. When you multiply 3 by 12, you get 36. And when you multiply 4 by 9, you get 36. And when you multiply 6 by 6 again, you get 36. So that's how we got our factor for 36. Now the factor for 45. We have 1, we have 3, we have 5, we have 9, we have 15, and then we have 45 itself. 1 times 45 gives you 45. 3 times 15 gives you 45. 5 times 9 also gives you 45. Now that we have the factors, the highest common factor of 36 and 45 is just 1, and that's 9. So that way, we've used the factorization method to get our highest common factor of the number 36 and 45. Now let's look at finding the highest common factor using the prime factorization method. Let's consider this example. Find the highest common factor of these three numbers, 24, 36, and 48. We're using prime factorization method. So what you look out for is the prime factor. What's the prime factor of 24? The prime factor of 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 times another 2 times 3. Those are the prime factor of 24. Now the prime factor of 36. We have 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. You're wondering, Miss Queen, why are you just using these numbers? The numbers you have to multiply, because it requires us finding the prime factor, must be prime numbers. And you know, prime numbers are the numbers that can only be divided by 1 and itself without any remainder. So, to get your prime factors, that means you have to multiply prime numbers. What are the prime numbers you put together to get this particular number? So for 24 again, what are the prime numbers I can put together? Okay, let me say I put other numbers together. What I'll have will be 4 times 6. But 4 times 6 are not prime numbers because they can be divided by other numbers, which is 2, which is 3, and all. But we need prime numbers. So what do? We break down this 4 and the 6. So when you break down your 4, you have 2 times 2. That's fine. 2 and 2 are prime numbers. And you break down your 6, you have 2 times 3. So that's how I got my number. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, being the prime factor for 24. Then for 36, I said 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Now, if we just want to get these numbers out, now not taking the prime factor, what we'll have is, say, 4 times 9. But we can't put 4 times 9 here because 4 times 9 are not prime numbers. So we have to break them down until we get prime numbers. So when you break down your 4, you have 2 times 2. When you break down the 9, you have 3 times 3. So that helps us, and then we have our prime factor for 36 to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Good. Now, let's get the prime factor for 48, or the prime factor of 48. The prime factor for 48 is 2 times 2 times 2 times another 2 times 3. Yes, 2 times 2 gives you 4. 2 times 2 gives 4. The other 2 times 2 gives another 4. Now when you do 4 times 3, you get 12. So 4 times 12 gives you 48. But 4 and 12 are not prime numbers, so we can't put them there as prime factor of 48. So we have to break them down, and that was what we did. So your 4, you break it down, you have 2 times 2. And your 12, you break it down, you have 2 times 2 times 3. And that gives us 48. Now the occurrence of common prime factor of 24, 36, and 48 are the prime number that appears in these 3 sets of numbers. One of it is 2. We have 2 in 24, we have 2 in 36, and we have 2 in 48. Most times, what I advise you to do is you circle those sets of 2s. Again, we still have another set of 2. We have 2 again appearing in 24, appearing in 36, and also appearing in 48. So you circle that again. So we have 2 times 2. Another number that appears in the 3 set of numbers is 3. We have 3 as a prime factor of 24. We also have 3 as a prime factor of 36. And we have 3 as a prime factor of 48. So you circle these 3. So at the end of the day, what we have as a common prime factor of 24, 36, and 48 are 2, 2, and 3. So the highest common factor now of 24, 36, and 48 is 2 times 2 times 3. So you multiply these numbers and then your final answer comes to 12. Your final answer comes to 12. You can see that these 2 methods are easy methods you can use to find your highest common factor. Now that we've learned how to find our highest common factor using the factorization method and the prime factorization method, I would like you to keep practicing. Practice how to find your highest common factors of different numbers. Since you've learned it, I'm super excited. I'm happy you've learned how to find the highest common factor of given numbers. So, keep flexing your math muscles by practicing tasks. Like I said, practice tasks on these concepts, on every concept you've learned. Because the more practice you do, the more sums you get right, the stronger your math muscles will be. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Podcast for Education. Remember, you can always hit us up for your questions and feedbacks across any of our social media handles. That is on Facebook or Instagram at Africa Business Radio, Twitter at Africa Biz Radio. You can listen to this particular episode or any other episode of the Podcast for Education on our podcast channel. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com to do so. I am Onoja saying, do not stop learning. Bye for now.